Previously in the cars, Carlos Sousa surprised everyone, including himself, by winning the opening stage in his Haval, but at what cost?
It's very difficult for us in the last kilometers. We slow down a lot.
Drama amongst the minis. First, the favourite Peter Hansel punctures late in the stage, conceding time and pace to Alatia, the latest convert to the mini cause. It's easy when you have a small problem to try and get back the time lost and make more errors. Then, Nani Roma, a man on a mission, got held up by Carlos Sainz for over 60 kilometers and tempers flared at the finish line. I needed to say to Carlos that it's not the right way. With only 800 kilometers raced, the battle in the cars is ready to boil over. Yesterday was a short 120-kilometer special, but the heat was to be a major issue for quite a few contenders, including Gerlan Schischerit in his EVR buggy. We have a fuel pressure problem. We've got 50 litres left, so it isn't a fuel problem. The issue is pressure. A serious issue for the Frenchman, but he could count on the help of the Argentinian crowd. That, of course, didn't prevent him from losing over an hour. The same heat and almost the same problem for Robbie Gordon and his Gordini. Vapor lock. It made the Americans' day a real nightmare.
Left side of the car, it's going to follow the power steering lines. It's going to come up along the side. It happened 5 or 6 times, and 2 hours and 8 minutes. I'm pretty confident we'll go back to what we had on the Hummer and we'll be okay.
Time to go long for the cars. They'll loop the base of Mount Payún. Still that same heat at the start of the car race. A real nightmare to cope with in central Argentina. The pressure was on Carlos Sousa's shoulders as the race leader and winner of stage 1. He took off first. Eventually, after 33 kilometers, he was forced to stop because of a broken turbo.
We
broke the turbo after 30 Ks. Oil started leaking. We're waiting to take a decision. Either we go back to repair and we'll be given a maximum time penalty, or we carry on and take risks of breaking the engine in the dunes with no turbo. So we're waiting. Tough times for Sousa, who hasn't quitted Dakar since the year 2000. Meanwhile, the minis were flying on tracks suited to four-wheel drive cars. Starting fourth, Nani Roma rapidly managed to catch up with his teammate Nasser Alatia, oddly going in the opposite direction. Not the best of days for Alatia. After an impressive first stage in his new car, he struggled. The Qatari eventually lost over 7 minutes after suffering 3 punctures. Nani Roma had to settle for 4th position in his Mini. Much more like it for Carlos Sainz, especially in the second standy part of the stage. His argument with Nani Roma now forgotten, the Spaniard took his SMG buggy to a fine 2nd spot. It was super fast. We had to deal with a Gene portion that wasn't easy, but I think we managed a good stage. I'm rather happy with our 2nd spot for the moment. But the man of the day was Monsieur Dakar himself, Stefan Peter Hansel. 6th to start. Peter made the most of his navigational skills to clock the best time of the day. A 60-second stage success for the Frenchman, both on bike and in a car. And by doing so, Peter Hansel captures the overall lead of the rally. Navigation was easy because we could see people at the top of each dune. so we could advance based on their position. We had a long straight like in the Angel de Touquet with bumps and whoops. Globally, a very fast stage. 14th yesterday, Guillermo Spinelli was able to show what his Mitsubishi has in its belly. Third fastest at the first checkpoint, the Brazilian then suffered in the dunes as he finished 18th. So Peter Hansel took it from Sainz, De Villiers in third position ahead of Roma and Alatia, and it's all change at the top of the standings as well. Peter Hansel has taken the lead, but he's only got a 28-second gap to Carlos Sainz. Alatia's 4 minutes back from Peter Hansel, with Roma and Terranova 4 minutes and 8 minutes back. Ballistic, the nickname of BJ Baldwin. The American desert racing legend is back on the Dakar. Raised in Las Vegas, BJ is ready for a gamble.
Difficult. I mean, it's the most difficult event I've ever done. I've won 2 Baja 1000s. That is very, very hard, but this in itself, just doing the Dakar, the first couple days, you know, are tough enough, and then fatigue starts setting in, you know, by the 4th and 5th day, and dealing with fatigue management is definitely the most difficult part of the Dakar rally.
Back in 2009, his first Dakar was a tough experience.
The terrain in Baja is much rougher than it is here, so I was very confident, probably a little bit overconfident. I think I passed like 43 cars on the first day. The second day I passed like 6 or 7 more cars. And then the third day I went 4 kilometers and flew off a cliff.
For his second attempt, the 34-year-old is driving a Jeffries buggy with former biker Quinn Cody at his side.
I know I'm racing against the 10 best guys in the world. Do I consider myself one of the 10 best guys in the world? Absolutely not. But I still have high hopes. I still want to do very well. I want to represent the United States very well. And you know, no matter what, I aim to win. Will that happen? Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I'm going to do the best I can.
Other than victory, Ballistic has another battle to take on with his compatriot, Robbie Gordon.
If I can finish one place ahead of Robbie, that's always a victory. That's like second on my list. It's win the race, and if you can do that, beat Robbie.
It's important to dream, and I think everybody has to dream, and BJ's a bit of a dreamer.
And indeed, Baldwin struggled as soon as day one, suffering vapor lock issues, losing close to an hour.
We did have some problems today in this stage. We had some fuel delivery problems. Ended up having to change a fuel pump that cost us quite a bit of time.
Coming next, the Behemoths hit the stages hard. The 4 teams started the 2014 Dakar with high hopes, but both cars suffered technical issues during the first special stage. Lucio Alvarez, 10th overall last year and 5th 2 years ago, lost more than 2 hours because of throttle troubles. It was a roller coaster for the other Ford Ranger, driven by Chris Visser. The South African had wheel troubles, and he ended 141st on the first day. It was a bad start too for Etienne Smilovici. The man who's crossed the Dakar finish line 21 times, a record in fact, had technical issues during the first stage. My shoulders are destroyed. We have no power steering since the start. Are you going to be okay, Etienne? We put some oil, there was a little leak, but I think the steering pump is dead. An awful start to the race for Eugenio Favre, who had to stop during the first stage because of mechanical troubles and had to find a solution on his own. We're making a custom-made bolt. The Argentinian ended up completing the first stage in 40th and last position. Paraplegic athlete Albert Lovera completed stage 1 with the 108th fastest time. The Spaniard did his first attempt on the Dakar in 2007 but had to retire. This year he drives a buggy prepared by French team MD Rally Sport and shared with Arnaud Debron. The car is equipped with hand controls at the wheel that have been troublesome so far. Former winner of the Le Mans 24 Hours and having competed in 23 Formula 1 Grand Prix, Jan Lammers is enjoying his new career in a Dakar truck. The Dutchman is back for the 5th time.
I enjoyed the other part on the racetrack as well, but this is just so much energy, you know, the whole adventure.
In a GNAF truck, Lammers will be aiming to finish a 4th consecutive time. Like every year on the Dakar, it was party time at the bivouac in the Kamaz headquarters. The Tsar, Vladimir Chagin, celebrated his 44th birthday in style. The 7-time winner of the Dakar in a truck was given a very special gift, a helmet that he proudly wore. When your mode of transport is as wide as the route you're taking, it's time for more haste, less speed. Time for the trucks. Nikolaev headed the field, but his pace wasn't up there with the fastest, and he was caught and passed by the chasing De Roy. That came after 30 minutes of the Dutchman running in the wheel tracks of the Kamaz, but he was just happy to finish in amongst the leading pack. Lepraise was frustrated to be 10 seconds off the stage win, but he dedicated his great start to his new son, born only days before the start of the Dakar Rally. Top Dutchman of the day was Marcel van Vliet in the Man, coming close to repeating his 2012 feat of winning the opening stage, but not close enough. Ahead of the Dutch hordes ran the Russians, and Kamaz drew first blood with the second of their trucks, the Mardeyev clan. Irat, the son and driver, taking his second Dakar stage in just 3 years at the wheel of his truck. A cracked windscreen and race damage hampered Versluis, but he still gave the locals a good shower. Many struggled with the tight stages, none more so than Steven Rotzet, who dropped his man into the ditch, but his Dakar will continue.
The first memory comes from the stories of the Dakar.
I was competing in regular rallies and had heard of this race in Africa, a race that was more about what was going on than the sporting aspect.
I saw a Dakar take off from Rouen. I don't remember in what year, but I went to see scrutineering. It was at the Madrier, just outside Rouen. And Thierry Sabine was there in his white overalls, walking around through the cars.
It was when I was 16 years, and I watch one day the television, and I remember my father, he said for me, I hope to see you one day in this race.
My mother gave me a book from the first years of the Dakar, back in the 80s. That's the first memory I have of the Dakar.
It was a prologue next to Orléans. I used to live 50 kilometers away from there. I remember there was mud everywhere. Everyone was wearing winter hats. There were cars, trucks, bikes everywhere. There was a huge crowd, and my parents had taken me there. I didn't know what the Dakar was, but it was certainly a great day, a great 1st of January.
In tomorrow's stage from San Rafael to San Juan, Barreda is unequalled so far in speed and crashes. Will his luck hold out for the first marathon stage? And will Sousa surge back into contention, or will he even reach the end of stage 2? All of this coming up as the adventure continues on day 3 of the Dakar.